What can you learn from those whose tresses are a bit more abundant?
You'll do fine, Mr. DeMille, as long as you have a single hair left on your head. From that single hair, we can usually learn a man's approximate age, his environment, the places he visited recently, his type of employment, his personal habits, and frequently, his race. We can also learn a dozen things from a cigarette.
A cigarette?
Yes. Anybody who smokes a cigarette reveals secrets through the saliva that remain on the end, even though many months have elapsed since it was smoked. Saliva tells us to what blood group the man who smoked the cigarette belongs. There are 20 blood groups with which we deal, and often we can eliminate 19 out of 20 suspects by a blood grouping test.
I can see it's getting harder and harder to commit murder.
Not to commit it, but to get away with it. But while we solve crimes, the public can do far more than we can do in preventing them. Don't be intimidated by the threats and boasts of racketeers. Every time you surrender, you betray not only yourself, but your neighbors and your community. At the first sign of a threat, get in touch with your local authorities.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, just to prove what an ordinary piece of evidence may reveal, I gave Mr. Gumpert a coat which I wore sometime yesterday. He examined it and is now going to tell exactly what he found out about me from that coat.
You're sure you want me to go through with it?
Yes, of course I do.
We really don't have to, Mr. DeMille.
Backing out, are you?
Okay, Mr. DeMille, you asked for it. I took your coat and last night beat out all the dust. Here's what it told me. Yesterday morning, you took a walk with a brunette between the ages of 20 and 25. An actress, probably a star. You stopped at Hal Chester's flower shop, bought an orchid, had lunch at the Brown Derby, and ate, among other things, a shrimp cocktail. Later, you went from there...
No, thank you. That's plenty. But don't try to tell me you learned that from my coat. You probably followed me.
Sorry, you're wrong. Here's how it was done. A few black hairs on the coat told me the lady's age, and a preparation on the hair revealed she had something to do with acting under powerful lights. I guessed she was a star instead of an extra because the face powder also found on the coat was very expensive. You were walking. Because if you had been riding, the powder would have been differently placed. It was in the morning because that particular powder will not look well on a brunette at night. You went to Hal Chester's because I found pollen from a cymbidium. That's a terrestrial orchid. And Hal Chester's is one of the few shops carrying it. You went to the Derby because I found a tiny spot of sauce used for a seafood cocktail. And it contained a trace of herb, which I won't name, because the chef at the Derby claims that it's part of his secret shrimp recipe.
You win, Mr. Gumpert. But who was the girl?
Well, that's for you to reveal.
Well, it happened to be my daughter, Catherine.
I have only one suggestion to make. The next time you go to the Derby for lunch, how about asking me along? And thanks for the invitation here tonight.
Great protection. Great protection, Mr. Gumpert. That's the date. Edward G. Robinson in Bullets or Ballots with Mary Astor, Humphrey Bogart, and Otto Kruger. Confident that the higher-ups will choose him to replace Al Kruger, Johnny Blake has ordered the gangster's arrest. The trap is ready to spring. But Bugs Brenner arrives at Kruger's apartment first. He faces the leader, a revolver in his hand.
Well. Hello, Bug. What are you doing over here?
The cops just smashed my milk racket.
So?
So I'm starting to take over the numbers game.
Al Kruger's plane. Racketeer found dead in hotel room. Who is it?
Good morning, Miss Morgan.
Oh, come in. Mr. Brenner, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. A lot of news in that paper.
Yeah, who did it?
I don't know. We're trying to find out.
Thought he was your friend.
Yeah, he was.
You don't seem very upset about it.
Well, there ain't no use crying if the dice fall that way.
Well, what do you want?
And do you want to go back in the numbers game?
What are you trying to do? Kid me?
Ah, you started a game. You ought to have a share in it.
And I suppose Mr. Blake will let me have it.
He'll have nothing to say about it. I'm running things from now on. If you want the Bronx and Harlem districts, they're yours. If you need protection, you'll get it.
Yeah, that sounds good. Too good.
You don't trust me, huh?
I don't trust anybody.
Well, neither do I. Now, we ought to work fine together. How about it?
You're going to take it away from Blake?
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead and take it.
Ah, that's the girl. Hey, come over here. Now, we'll get along swell, you and me, huh?
Yeah. In the numbers game.
Okay. I called the boys for a meeting tonight. They don't know it yet, but they got a new boss. Now, we'll find out who got Al sooner or later. But we ain't got any time to waste worrying about it now. The question is, do I run this business from now on, or don't I?
It's all right with us. But the bosses may have something to say about it if we ever hear from them.
I'll take care of that.
Why didn't you ask Blake in on this here meeting?
Because he ain't going to be so important from now on. He's the one that sold Al. I'm sitting back waiting for McLaren to run down. Well, it ain't worked out that way. I'm going to put the rackets back in full swing, whether there's trouble with McLaren or not.
Oh, sorry I'm late. Are you holding an election, boys?
It's already been held.
No, and you're it, I suppose.
Yeah. You got any objections?
Oh, a few.
Now, what's the first one?
Well, the job was given to me.
What?
When?
You?
The bosses called me in 2 hours after the news broke.
You expect us to believe that?
Well, I told them you might have a few doubts, but I couldn't persuade them to come down here and prove it.
Hey, who are they?
Did Kruger tell you?
No. Well, I think I'll keep sitting in this seat till I hear from them, personally.
Sit anywhere you want to, but don't try and stop me from carrying out orders. I have to take charge of the week's collection and have it to them by 10 o'clock tomorrow night. I'll meet you boys at the garage at 6.
Oh, no, you won't. How do we know they called you?
Yeah, how do we know?
Because I'm telling you. Is that enough?
No.
I'll answer
Here,
that. Get away from that, Blake. Hello? Who? Yeah, he's here. Who's this? Okay. It's for you, Blake.
Who is it?
They wouldn't say.
Well, excuse me, gentlemen. Hello?
Hello. Is this John Blake?
That's right.
We'd like to see you, Mr. Blake. Al Kruger told us you could be trusted. When would it be convenient for you to come?
Well, name your time.
Shall we say 7 this evening?
Sure, where?
At the Oceanic Bank Trust Company.
I see.
Ask for Mr. Thorndyke, the president.
Oh, yes, well, thanks. I'll do that.
Goodbye.
Well, I'm sorry I have to run, boys, but I know you'll excuse me. I've got an appointment with the bosses. So long.
Sit down, Mr. Blake. My name is Thorndyke.
Oh, yes, the president, huh?
That's right. This is Mr. Hollister.
How are you, Mr. Hollister?
How do you do?
And Mr. Caldwell.
Mr. Caldwell of the Caldwells? Oh, so you're the heads.
Yes.
No wonder the organization has been so well protected.
Why did you try to take Kruger's job over?
No, I didn't try to take it over. I took it over.
Well, didn't you think we might object?
Well, why should you? I've proved that I can run it better than anyone else. Renter isn't any good.
Yes. You have given us quite a bit of revenue.
I've given you more than any 4 of them put together, and I'll keep on doing it, provided you give me a few breaks. You know, I'm not in this for fun.
You satisfied, gentlemen?
The job's yours, Blake.
Thanks. You're not making any mistake.
Oh, incidentally, Mr. Blake, you're the only one who'll know who we are.
I understand that.
Now, the first thing we want you to do is collect our receipts from the garage tonight and bring them here.
Yeah? Well, I already arranged to collect them.
Oh?
Will it be all right if I get here at 10?
Quite all right. Now, before we get into detailed instructions, I suggest we have a drink to Mr. Blake's success. How about it, Mr. Blake?
Oh, thanks. It'll taste pretty good. Hello? Hello, McLaren.
Yeah, Johnny?
We're all set, Mac. I'm in with a big shot.
Why?
Well, what's the difference? You can't pick him up yet. You'll have to catch him with the dough to make it stick.
Well, go on.
Now, look, I'm meeting the boys at 6 tomorrow night at that garage I told you about. When you see me leave there with the dough, pull up fast and raid the joint.
Go on.
Then send your men to 24 and Wall. I'll pass that 10 o'clock shop to meet the big shots in their office. When I give the word, you can make the pinch.
Nice work, Johnny.
Now, remember, a few minutes after 6 at the garage, and come in shooting. That's all, Mac.
All right, then, in the garage. Okay.
Just a minute. Hold your horses.
Hey, let me in.
What's the idea of coming in the back way, Bug?
The cops are after me. Has Blake been here?
No, what's happened?
Nothing, except that he's done what I always said he was going to do. Put the whole crowd in a spot for McLaren. They got everybody except me and Joe. Raided the garage.
Wait a minute. Johnny was... He worked with the police?
Oh, he's been working for them the whole way, and now I'm going to pay him off. I'll get him if it's the last thing I do.
Hello? Lee Morgan.
Is Bugs better there?
Who's calling?
Tell him it's Joe.
Oh, I'm sorry. I haven't seen him.
He said I could reach him there.
I'm sorry, but he's not...
Wait a minute. Give me that phone.
What's the matter
Give
with
it to
you?
me. Hello?
Hello, Bugs. This is Joe.
Yeah? Go ahead.
I found him, Bugs.
Blake? Where?
He's hiding out. 1124 East 18th.
1124 East 18th.
Yeah, it's an old private house. There's a back stairs leads right to the door of his room.
Okay. Thanks, Joe.
Bugs, what are you going to do?
I'm going to pay Mr. Blake a visit.
Wait, now listen, Bugs.
Get away from that door.
Bugs, please,
Get
wait
away
a
from there,
minute,
I
Bugs.
say.
Oh, Johnny. Oh. Hello, information. Listen, I want the number of a house at 1124 East 18th Street. Yes, hurry, please.
All right, Blake. You can stop right now.
Who's that? Who's down there?
Bugs. Your old friend Bugs. Yeah, I hear you're making a trip out to see the big fellas, Johnny.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a hearse.
Well, too bad, Bugs. You only hit me once out of 4 shots. I guess I did better with only 2.
Johnny!
Oh. Hello, Lee.
Johnny, I tried to call you. There was no phone here.
Yes, I know.
Has Brenner been here?
Yes, he's in there on the floor.
Oh. Are you all right?
Oh, sure. Drive me over to Wall and 24th, will you, Lee?
All
I've
right.
got some business.
Sure, Johnny. I was afraid he'd kill you. He told me you were working for the police.
Yeah, on and off.
I've been a heel, Johnny. The things I said that night at the hotel.
Well, you didn't know. Forget it.
I tried to stay sore, but it seemed sort of funny not seeing you around. You're all through with it now, aren't you?
Yeah.
I'm glad. You can go back on the force. Maybe the Broadway district.
Yeah, maybe. Oh, here's where I get off. Thanks, Lee. Thanks.
You sure you're all right, Johnny?
Oh, sure. Run along.
I'll wait for you.
Oh, no. You'd have to wait too long. Thanks for the lift. You're racist, Lee.
I'll remember that.
Will you? Good night.
Night, Johnny.
Oh, hello, Blake.
How are you, gentlemen?
Well, 10 o'clock on the dot. You'll keep your appointment.
Yeah, I wanted to make the first job perfect. Here's the money.
All right, open it up. You have any difficulty with Brenner?
Oh, no. We got along fine.
Well, how does it feel to be head of the organization?
And I've been waiting for a night like this for 15 years.
You deserve it.
Thanks. Will you gentlemen need me any more tonight?
No, we'll contact you next week.
Well, that's fine.
Wait a moment.
Huh?
What's the matter with you?
With me? Oh, nothing. Why?
You're hurt.
Oh, no. Everything satisfactory, gentlemen?
Yes, of course, but I...
Well, good night, then, gentlemen. Good night.
Johnny, are you all right?
Hello, Mac. Did you nail him with the dough?
Yeah.
Well, that's that.
Who got you? Brenner?
Yeah.
Oh, where is he?
He's washed up. Check the bullet he put into me with the ones that killed Bryan and Kruger. They're all from his gun.
You didn't miss a bet, did you?
Well, I tried not to pull the punches this time. I guess Brenner didn't either.
Oh, don't worry, Johnny. I'm taking you to the hospital.
No. Won't do any good. So long, Mac. Just keep
Keep kicking him in the line, Mac.
I would, Johnny.
Yeah, I'd like to think that when the mugs see a policeman, they'll keep on tipping their hats.
A life and a play end together. And now the late Johnny Blake becomes Edward G. Robinson. And Lee Morgan is once again Mary Astor.
And here's a question, Mr. DeMille, that I've been waiting for a long time to toss at Mr. Robinson.
Yeah?
Don't you ever get tired of dying, Eddie? Of being Hollywood's favorite bullseye?
Well, I don't mind being bored by a bullet, Mary, if the results don't bore the audience. But I'll admit it's a distinct relief to be able to die occasionally on the side of the law and order, as I did tonight in Bullets for Ballots. But how did you like the story?
Well, speaking as Lee Morgan, not so much. You just about ruined my life by dying. But speaking as Mary Astor, well, Eddie, I've learned that anything connected with the name Lux must be good. I found that out years ago when I started using Lux soap. Anyone who's at all fussy about her looks knows that Lux soap is about the nicest, most dependable complexion care there is. I guess I'm like most actresses in Hollywood because I'm never without it. Incidentally, Mr. DeMille, the last time Eddie was on this show, didn't I hear him promise you a job on his own program, Big Town?
He certainly did. He even gave me a name. I was to play Benny the Bomber. That's the last I've heard about it.
Well, the truth is, I haven't had a spot lately for a torpedo. Besides, I don't think you'd be much of a pineapple juggler, Mr. DeMille.
Well, then, couldn't I play a detective sometime?
No, sorry, no experience.
Well, couldn't I take some lessons from Mr. Gumpert?
Hey, I might have an opening on Big Town at that.
Oh, thanks, Eddie. Thanks. Hey, do you mean it?
Why, of course. You send that Mr. Gompert around sometime. He sounds like a great bet. Oh, and remember, keep tipping your hat.
Good night, Mr. DeMille, and don't give up. I'm sure you'd make a perfectly lovely Benny the Bomber.
Thanks, Mary, and good night. So long, copper.
You'll hear from Mr. DeMille again in just a moment when he brings you great news about next Monday's program. Our stars were assisted tonight by Edward Marr as Joe Vinci, Wallace Clark as Franklin McLaren, Chester Clute as Herman, Lou Merrill as Thorndyke, Ted Bliss as McCoy, Wally Mayer as Crail, Lindsay McHarry as Ward Bryant, Galen Galt as Doorman, Ross Forrester as Louis, Earl Ross as Donlin, and Frank Nelson as Hollister. Mary Astor's new film is Paramount's Midnight. Humphrey Bogart is from Warner Brothers Studio and is now appearing in Dark Victory, which stars Betty Davis and also features George Brent. Louis Silvers is from 20th Century Fox Studio. He directed music there for the story of Alexander Graham Bell. Here's news for our Canadian listeners. Beginning this week, 28 Canadian stations are joining our network for the broadcast of the life and love of Dr. Susan. The makers of Lux Toilet Soap bring you this enthralling story about the love and problems of a young, attractive woman doctor every afternoon, Monday through Friday. Look in your newspapers for the time and station. The life and love of Dr. Susan comes to you in addition to the Lux Radio Theater. Our producer, Mr. DeMille.
An average young man marries into a wealthy family, only to find that neither big business nor a glittering social life can alter his affection and ambition for a racehorse named Broadway Bill. Bill's adventures on the racetrack and our hero's experiences with his wife's relatives provide the gay and romantic play you'll hear next Monday night. And leading Broadway Bill to our barrier will be 4 Hollywood stars who are favorites at heavy odds: Robert Taylor, Francis D., Gail Patrick, and Raymond Walburn. Our sponsors, the makers of Lux Toilet Soap, join me in inviting you to be with us again next Monday night when the Lux Radio Theater presents Robert Taylor and Francis D. in Broadway Bill with Gail Patrick and Raymond Walburn. This is Cecil B. DeMille saying good night to you from Hollywood.
Your announcer has been Melville Ruick. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.